Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is mid-afternoon here in the United Kingdom on the 8th of June 2022. Now, I've no idea whether this audio is coming through okay or not. The last stream that I did was, to put it mildly, a bit crap from an audio point of view. Hopefully this is coming through better. But this is a bit of a rant today. This is a bit of me being pissed off with silliness, with stupidity, with our political elite, with our allies, with our lack of understanding of what the hell is going on in this world and how we have ended up in this position. So if anybody in the side chat could let me know if this is coming through okay, or if the music's too loud, or if the audio's not loud enough, that'd be useful. But how do I start? Well, everything nowadays, and I'm going to look at it from a UK perspective. This is a very blinkered UK perspective of the UK economy. Everything is electronic. Everything. The nearest you possibly come to something manual or mechanical is a bicycle. Everything else is electronic, digital. It breaks, you need to take it to an electronics expert to get the motherboard or the chips fixed. Or you need to buy some parts and you need to have opened up a book and learnt all about how to fix certain things. And each thing is different in itself. Everything relies on processors, semiconductors, other stuff that's within there that produces electronics. And in a global economy, that's great, isn't it? Isn't it great? Everyone does agree. We live in a global world now, don't we? A global economic world. Every country is... I say every country, I will definitely look at the West, definitely look at the United Kingdom. Taking on the theoretical economics of international trade. In other words, comparative advantage. If you make things better and or cheaper than we do, it's better for us to focus on the things that we are really good at and let you sell us your stuff that you're really good at for a price cheaper than we can produce it, and preferably at a better quality as well. Using comparative advantage, everyone sells what they're good at producing, and those who need those things buy them. Everybody wins. And that's the glory of the global economy. It's the theory anyway. And economics theories are not the same as mathematical theories. Economics theories are hypotheses. They are ceteris paribus. As long as everything else stays exactly the same, then this thing will happen. But everyone does agree. Everyone agrees, don't they? Everyone does agree. We live in a global economy, right? We can just hop onto a plane, go somewhere that we want. We can drive where we want. We can get hold of whatever items or products or components that we want. Or we can go to a local fixer who will sort out whatever issues we have with our old stuff. Or we can find a local fixer somewhere in the economy on the internet. And we can have things sent to us, whether domestically or from abroad. And the West does taken on that comparative advantage model pretty hard. Here in the UK, we got rid back in the 1980s. Thank you to Margaret Thatcher, taking us forward, advancing us. We got rid of steel forges, coal mines, car industry. We've reduced our manufacturing capacity to nearly zero because we're better at education. That's how it's sold, isn't it? Educate, educate, educate. Produce a service economy where we tell other people what to do, how to think, what to think. We explain things. We become the teachers rather than the doers. It's that old adage. I can't remember what the old adage is. Something along the lines of teachers teach because they can't do. Something along those lines. It's much better. But it suddenly just disappeared out of my head with exactly what the words are. So we produce this service economy. We've got our financial sectors. We've got our legal sectors. We've got our coffee shops and other consumable places. We've got our throwaway shit. We've got lots of plumbers and builders and heating engineers and lots of rules surrounding them. And we grow, produce and make practically nothing. Hello, Rebuke and Reprove. Nice to see you. How did we get here? Question mark. Liberals! Rebuke and Reprove. Can you just let me know whether the sound is coming through okay? It'd be really useful if you could. So growing, producing and making practically nothing is it's great in a global economy. We just go and get the other stuff that we need from somewhere else. That is until your political elites and your allies' political elites spend decades threatening the very countries that actually supply all the materials that go into making all those things you now need in order that your economy can work. And it's not just consumer stuff. Every single aspect of our industrial economy, whatever industry it is, doesn't matter what industry it is, every single one of those areas relies on the internet. And of course, the internet, every part of it, requires processors and microchips and semiconductors and energy. So it's not really a good idea to agitate anyone else within a global economy unless you're damn sure they don't have a large stake in the production or mining or growing or supply of all those commodities you need that make your life work. So, while we've had it real easy here in the UK for the last 30 years, despite recessions, financial crises, Brexit, COVID, 9/11 and those subsequent conflicts, well, we've had it quite easy and we've been able to change our society towards hedonism, flowery people, huge changes in societal makeup. That means boys grow up wanting to be girls or cats and vice versa. And everyone must be happy, clappy and not have a differing opinion, especially on gender issues. All those weak-ass positions have led us to having an economy that will crumble on a population that is unable to protect itself. We don't have the people that can protect itself. And we don't have the people that have grown up through puberty through that competitive time of being a boy growing into a man, of knowing, I don't want to go up against that one there. Or I don't have the ability to go up against anybody from a physical point of view, but I got other skills. And as long as I align myself or ally myself or develop those bits that utilize my skills, I'll be all right. People aren't learning that nowadays. People aren't learning that personal responsibility and those risks and how to differentiate and how to make sure that sometimes the best way to win a fight is by 100 yards. This country, my country, the United Kingdom, needs a very serious rethink. And it's going to take a couple of generations to get there. In exactly the same way, both China and Russia have slowly and surely, over time, just let the rest of the world get on with their things, while they have made their economies strong and mainly self-sufficient. And they've done that with a very, very clear purpose, and accepting masculinity as a trait, not a bug, while allowing equality in many ways to prosper, bringing everybody up instead of the Western way of advancing one gender while being detrimental to another. That's what the West has done. Fucked itself. Absolutely fucked itself, just like Rome did. On a somewhat separate note, but rather related, slightly related, rather related, I'm not sure which word to use, Turkey. Turkey seems to be keen on developing ties directly with Russia and Asia. Smart move. They see the way that the wind is blowing. They look over the Black Sea at Russia, and pretty much only Russia over there. And they know that the EU hates them and only uses them. And they look at NATO, and they see that NATO is just using them. And they also see a toothless tiger. So they're going to develop their relations with Russia, thank you very much, and with the other CSTO countries, and with China, and India, and the Middle East. And they'll stay inside NATO. There is no way, there is no mechanism within NATO to kick out a country once it's a NATO country. As the Duran said, Turkey's a bit like a Trojan horse for NATO. By staying inside NATO, they can prevent its expansion, as they are going to do with Sweden and Finland. They can prevent these warmongering fascist states that are hell-bent on merely maintaining their own positions in this global economy. We're at the top, we're at the pedestal. Everybody else stay below us. We don't mind what you do, but you just fucking stay below. They're gonna cause some problems in there at Turkey. And I don't blame them. They're going to become an ally of the states that are going to be the leaders over the next few centuries. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Hell, I don't know, they might even become the next country in an expanding BRICS. Who knows? So what will the West do? Will it kill its own global world even more by imposing sanctions on anyone that disagrees with them. Will it impose sanctions on Turkey because they've moved? They're not allowed to move away from us. Oh, but they're a NATO country. They can't attack a NATO country because Article 5 requires NATO countries to all come together to protect themselves to attack the attacker. So if a NATO country attacks a NATO country, what the bloody hell happens? I don't know. We've got cancel culture at a state level already. Seems to be de rigueur with the West, with the USA, with all the sanctions, but it's not working. The countries they have targeted are the ones with the economies and the commodities and the mindset that allows them to be self-sufficient and to be able to turn their backs eventually on those countries that need all their shit. And they also seem to be somewhat more clever than people here in the West have allowed themselves to think that they are. It suggests that the only fools are the ones surrounding me. So let's bring it close to home and consider what should the UK do. And this is what should the UK do rather than what will the UK do. So this is my opinion. What we should do is acknowledge quickly that we've been sold a pup by the USA, by the Democrats in particular, Victoria Nuland, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and all the rest of them that were out there fomenting and agitating with NATO, with their colour revolution, with the EU. Yeah, we've been sold a pup by them, and we've been sold a pup by Ukraine and NATO. Ukraine is just a basket case of nutters hell-bent on an existential war with Russia, based on having developed a culture of fascism, ultranationalism and white power that goes all the way back to the 1930s and more than likely way beyond there backwards, with the UPA and the OUN, Bandera, Shevchenko. The qualities that Ukraine shows are anathema to Western society and to Western ideals in the way that we are sold those Western societies and Western ideals. It's clear that our political elites have a very different view of liberal democracy than us plebs do, who are not on the inside and are not in positions of power. We should throw Ukraine to the wolves. We should align with Russia. We should remove all sanctions. And we should force Ukraine, or what will be left of it, to be a completely neutral country. No more arms, no more aid. And we should most definitely kick Petro Poroshenko out of our territory. I have no idea why he's wandering around London at the moment. He and the whole political elite of the pro-Maidan factions in Ukraine should be persona non grata. Completely persona non grata. They don't get back in. In exactly the same way that the DPR has capital punishment for certain crimes, we should have lifelong exile. Even though these people are not part of our country, they should be no longer able to ever come in. Not interested. Persona non grata. A bit like in the Bible, where none of those slaves that wandered the deserts for 40 years, having got out of Egypt, none of them, including Moses, were allowed to actually enter Israel. They had to die first. Those people, they can, Poroshenko, Zelensky, Arestovich, the rest of them, they can resolve things in their own rump of a country. They can grow some hay, chew on it. They can consider how silly they've been to develop such a culture of hate. And the last thing that we really need to hope is that Russia and China act much more manly and masculine than the West is. And they allow us back in. Because the bottom line is this could so easily go so much further south. It's like watching Bitcoin's price. After its first tumble from an all-time high. If you know anything about cryptocurrency, you know that for a long, long time, it can continually keep on dropping by another 80%, then another 80%, and another.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.